Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto received more than will of fire from Hashirama. What if it was something tangible with the blood of Shodai running through his veins? What changes will come to the Naruto verse? Before we start, don't forget to give a like and subscribe to this channel for more what ifs, and check the description for creator of this great fanfic. So let us start. Disclaimer. I do not own Naruto. Chapter 28. Pain, can you really call that torture? Questioned Yugito as she and Naruto walked out of a local bar. Though the bar actually was a toad which morphed down to its original size upon Naruto and Yugito's exit. Naruto watched the toad hop into the large lake as he looked up at the still rainy sky of Omegakure. Turning his head to Yugito, Naruto just smiled. Of course it's torture. Worked, didn't it? Questioned Naruto, pulling out a feather. The same feather. Naruto interrogated the two captured AIM genin to get information on Pain, the Akatsuki's leader. It'd work on anybody, even you. Naruto slipped the feather perfectly through Yugito's trench coat as he hit her right in her side. Ah! Stop! Shouted Yugito in the middle of the street as Naruto attacked her with the feather. Luckily no one was around to see as Naruto began with question 1. Do you love me? Said Naruto as Yugito began to cry from laughing and fell to the ground as Naruto never relented. Yes, strained out Yugito, seemingly helpless against the feather. Am I the hunkiest guy in the world? Said Naruto again as Yugito shook her head no. Naruto pulled out another feather. Seems that you're lying. Double time. Naruto Menma, whatever the hell your name is, said Jiraiya as Naruto stopped assaulting Yugito. Kitsune Kurama, said Yugito on the ground as Jiraiya nodded. Though Jiraiya was one of the AIM genin they just tortured. Gamadera, Kujayatsuri no Jutsu, toad flatness, shadow manipulation technique, said Naruto, noting the technique the toad Sannin was using at the moment. So that's how you're supposed to use that jutsu. I liked it better when Naruto used it and made you fondle yourself. Yugito internally shook her head at her biju before Jiraiya went over the plan once more. We know that he being the leader, is in the tallest tower now, said Jiraiya as the two Jinchuriki nodded. I'll head through the west side. While you two go toward the north before splitting. If you see an Akatsuki member, do not engage them. Rather jump out to the sea and shoot up a flare. There, the other two will join and we'll whip some Akatsuki ass free of civilians or AIM ninja interference. Everybody got it? The two Jinchuriki nodded again. Great. Let's get to it then. The two Jinchuriki vanished in a shunshin as Jiraiya walked off to begin his own part of the plan. With Nagato still perched in the tallest tower was the redhead leader of Akatsuki, Nagato. Dressed in his Akatsuki cloak, Nagato placed his hands in the ram seal. Conan, I'm going to stop the rain. Use your jutsu and locate all three of them, said Nagato, channeling his chakra as Conan nodded her head. When you do, I will face the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. And you will handle Jiraiya and the Nibi Jinchuriki with 4 of my paths. Here we go. Just as the rain stopped dropping, Conan fluttered into hundreds of sheets of paper before blowing past Nagato through the opening in the tall tower. Here in a few minutes, Kyuubi, I will defeat you, said Nagato as his 6 paths walked up behind him. You made a mistake coming here. Nagato, are you sure you're ready? Questioned the masked man behind the Akatsuki leader. Nagato said nothing as he simply leapt off the ledge. The masked man gave a nod. Then it is settled. Good luck. You will definitely need it. Same time, underneath Konoha, 2 fireballs battled each other as Sasuke faced off against Itachi. Sasuke dominated Itachi in the battle as the fire moved closer to Itachi with every passing second. Seems I may have been wrong, said Itachi, now standing behind Sasuke with a kunai ready. Sasuke turned an eye toward Itachi before dispelling in a poof of smoke. A shadow clone. The fire that once was close to Itachi immediately turned back due to Sasuke's disappearance. The fire steamrolled the Itachi clone as Itachi's eyes went wide. Wide due to Sasuke stabbing him through the chest from behind with his sword. I'm not the same kid from back then, said Sasuke as Itachi smiled slyly to himself, unseen by Sasuke. So it seems, said Itachi as Sasuke turned while letting his sword go. As he turned, Sasuke placed a hand over his wrist as several shurikens appeared. The Itachi Sasuke stab dissolved into crows as another Itachi appeared in front of him. Sasuke's tossed a shuriken that was met midway with one from Itachi. The two Uchihas began a sequence of shuriken and kunai tossing as clanging rang out from the metal hitting metal. Sasuke ran out of shuriken as Itachi flung two more of Sasuke's own shuriken back at him. Grabbing his sword again, Sasuke blocked both of the shurikens before watching Itachi jump back as a masked root ninja appeared in front of Sasuke with his tanto cocked back. Sasuke Taicho. No, this is not your fight, said Sasuke as the root Anbu turned to look at him. I will fight him alone. Just make sure that he doesn't leave this place if he defeats me. Understood. As Sasuke said that, dozens of root Anbu appeared across the balcony as they all nodded their heads. The root Anbu between the two brothers nodded his own head before jumping back up on the balcony to watch the fight. Seems you've taken over this program in Danzo's place, said Itachi as Sasuke simply stabbed his sword in the ground. As I said, no more talking, replied Sasuke as he let lightning course through his sword. Chidori Koken, Chidori sword. An electric surge sparked across the ground erratically and widespread as it forced Itachi to jump over it. That proved unwise as Sasuke met him in midair with a Chidori in hand. Just as Sasuke readied to stab into Itachi, he noticed something off about the Itachi in front of him. Chidori Iso, Chidori spear, said Sasuke as the Chidori in his hand extended into a spear that stabbed cleanly through Itachi. As soon as the lightning pierced Itachi, he detonated in an explosion. Another clone. Sasuke landed on the ground before catching a quick movement out of the corner of his eye. Moving his head forward, Sasuke dodged the punch from Itachi as he felt his brother wrap that arm around his neck. Sasuke attempted a punch to Itachi's gut that the elder Uchiha blocked easily before he brought Sasuke face to face with him. He got me. Tsukiyomi, Moon Reader. A Megacure, with Naruto, thank you, said Naruto still disguised as Kitsune Kurama. He received dumplings from a woman as he walked away from her store. Naruto split up with Yugito several minutes ago, having decided he'd head in on the backside of the tower while Yugito went through the front door. Naruto walked away from her store as he looked up. Naruto now stood in front of the tallest tower that the Akatsuki leader should be in. Naruto vanished in another shunshin as he appeared on the side of the tall tower. Walking up the side of it that faced the lake, Naruto attempted to remain unseen by any of the villagers. Naruto scaled the tall tower, keeping chakra to his feet to stay stuck to the building. Naruto jolted slightly as the sixth sense he garnered from his time with Jiraiya was going haywire. The same sense that most high-level shinobi have after years of experience. My oh shit sense is going off, thought Naruto before wondering why. I don't sense anyone near me. What's going on? Kurama, am I tripping? I don't know. You don't know. I thought your sensing abilities were better than mine. Oh, they are. It's just, I don't know what tripping means. I thought you said our personalities were merging. And you've seen everything in my life. How do you not know what tripping means? Questioned Naruto again as Kurama gave him a shrug. Did you just shrug at me? Naruto could feel Kurama's grin. Of course I know what tripping means. But no, I can't feel anyone near either, replied Kurama before adding. But that doesn't make sense. Your, oh shit, sense isn't ever wrong. Even mine is going off. That's what I'm saying, said Naruto in reply before he and Kurama heard a voice. Hello, Kyuubi. Naruto turned his head and got a glimpse of the red-headed man before getting hit hard by an invisible force. Naruto went sailing through the air as he regained his bearings before gracefully landing on the lake. You will be captured here today. Digging into his ninja pouch, Naruto tried to make headway of what just happened. What just hit me? And it looked as though he was floating in midair, thought Naruto before pulling out his flare gun. Pulling the trigger and letting the flare fly, Naruto saw the redhead appear in front of him again atop the lake. This time with two others beside him. A girl with orange hair and another guy with long orange hair. Kurama, what's up with their eyes? Naruto, those are the same eyes as Gigi. The Rinnegan. How do this guy and two others have the same eyes as the Sage of Six Paths? Thought Naruto as the male with orange hair rushed him. Naruto parried the punch that came as he then blocked the follow-up kick from the man. Gripping his leg, Naruto tossed the man away before looking and seeing the girl flow through hand seals. Kuchio's no jutsu summoning technique, said the girl as a large bird appeared underneath her that took her and the redhead into the air. Naruto looked up at the two before ducking the punch from behind by the orange-haired man. Naruto grabbed the guy's wrist before flipping him over his head and down into the lake below him with a splash. Naruto, above you. Naruto saw dozens of eggs falling from the sky. The bird from earlier was dropping them, and as an egg hit the water, it detonated on contact. Naruto attempted to jump out of the way only to feel the first guy grip his ankles from under the water. Naruto's eyes went wide when 3 eggs landed next to him. Boom! A large explosion rocked the area around the Jinchuriki as water splashed up high. Nagato and the girl beside him looked down at the explosion before noticing no sign of Naruto. Without turning his head, Nagato moved a hand directly at the now airborne Naruto behind him. How? There's no way he noticed my approach, thought Naruto before feeling the same invisible force from before. Naruto went sailing backward again as he tumbled on top of the water before stopping and sinking. As he sank in the lake, Naruto heard Kurama speak again. The Rinnegan eliminates blind spots. The 3 of them all share the same field of vision, said Kurama as Naruto listened. I'm sure you felt how cold that orange-haired male was. He's a reanimated body. Reanimated body. How is that possible? Questioned Naruto as the makeup and hair dye began to disappear in the water. Naruto's normal appearance began to shine through as he tried to make headway of what was going on. If he was an Edo Tensei, he wouldn't be cold. Is that the power of the Sage of 6 Paths? And speaking of 6 paths, there's only 3 of them. Where's the rest? I hazard to guess they are with Yugito and Jiraiya. If he knows you're here, then I'm sure he knows they are as well, said Kurama before adding. And no, the piercings on their skin allow them to move. I'm assuming the red head is the original and as such is controlling all of them at the same time. The guy must have amazing mental prowess to do all that, thought Naruto before biting his thumb underwater. Handling the shared vision while also coordinating them. Pretty impressive. Do not tread lightly, Naruto. This is not an opponent you can mess around with. I didn't get to spend much time with Gigi nor see him fight, but he did seal the beast he created me from on his deathbed. A beast mightier than me even without my chakra that fully forms it. Understood. Thought Naruto in reply before placing his hand directly below him. Kuchio's summoning. Nagato continued to stare down at the spot Naruto sunk into the water for any sign of the Jinchuriki. My human path saw the boy come up behind me from the water. He's much quicker than the reports said. This is a problem as I'm not fully capable of fighting while coordinating all of my paths. It's more difficult than I first thought Nagato before seeing a large orange toad rise out of the water with Naruto on top of his head. Seems he summoned a toad. My animal path will deal with that. Kuchio's no jutsu summoning technique. Landing on the lake below, the female path slammed her hand down. A large poof of smoke occurred as Naruto and his summon disregarded that and took aim at Nagato. Kaiten, Gamayu Enden, fire style. Toad oil flame bombs, said Naruto spewing out oil as Gamakichi fired out a torrent of flames. Nagato's bird flew down and out of the way of the large-scale fire attack as he then looked down to see a dozen Narutos coming from underneath the water at him. Let's see how you handle this. His jutsu was aimed like that to get me closer to the water so his clones could get me, thought Nagato before pointing a hand down. However, it's too late. Shinra Tensei, almighty push. Another invisible force ripped through the air as it threw the clones asunder and they dispelled on contact with the water below. Naruto received the information from his clones as he processed it internally. He didn't use that jutsu immediately, thought Naruto turning his head at the human path still on the lake. He saw those clones coming but waited until they got close. That either means he couldn't use the jutsu until they were within a certain distance or there's a time limit between uses. Roughly 10 seconds or so. Naruto's thoughts ended as from the poof of smoke by the female path, a large two-headed dog came rushing out at him and Gamakichi. I got this, said Gamakichi as he unsheathed his sword. The dog continued its charge as Gamakichi timed his strike perfectly. Cutting cleanly in the spot between the two heads, Gamakichi sliced the dog into 2. Gamakichi and Naruto grew surprised when the dog actually split into 2 dogs that now stood on either side of them. Whoa, said Naruto as he stood on Gamakichi's head facing one dog while Gamakichi looked at the other. It can split like that. But then again, I don't have time for this. We need to start taking them out and find Jiraiya-sensei and Yugi-chan. They haven't made it here after I sent my flare. Naruto looked to his right to see the male path coming for him. Turning back forward, Naruto saw the dog coming as well. Naruto slammed his hands in the snake seal. Mokuten. Jukai Koden wood style. A nativity of a sea of trees, said Naruto as a forest sprang up from the lake immediately within a second. The trees captured the path and ensnared both dogs in their branches. Gamakichi did a spin as he sliced through the dogs cleanly, this time with blood spewing across the water. Before Gamakichi's spin, Naruto was already jumping at the captured path with a charged-up Rasengan in hand. Nagato received the view of his path and animal summons before getting the views of his other paths that were with Jiraiya and Yugito. Seems I was wrong to separate us. With my powers being split and me now being in the battle, I can't use Diva Path as often. And it's harder to control them when they are separated and my focus is drawn to the Jinchuriki, thought Nagato, seeing his other paths losing to the team of Jiraiya and Yugito. I can solve that now. Kuchio's no jutsu, summoning technique. Naruto slammed his Rasengan into the path and as it began to ground its way into the man's stomach, he vanished. Naruto was shocked as he let his Rasengan dissipate. Turning around, Naruto now saw 7 people besides him and Nagato. Nagato sat perched on the bird above them as Naruto stared at his 6 paths and a blue-haired woman. The first 2 paths were the girl and guy he'd been facing. Though the guy looked down for the count as the Rasengan still hit home despite him being summoned. The others were a spiky-haired orange guy, a bald tall one, a spiky-haired but slightly older one, and a chubby one with an orange ponytail. Though the bald one and chubby one all looked hurt as well. Not only can he summon those weird creatures, thought Naruto, as the 2 dogs seemed to heal and separate again into 4 dogs that surrounded him and Gamakichi on the lake. But he can summon his other people as well. Maybe that's how those 2 in Kumo got away. Jiraiya-sensei is stronger than we thought and the pains weren't moving like normal against them, thought Konan, looking mildly hurt as she looked at Naruto. He must be strong if he can keep Nagato busy whilst killing a path himself. Do not fret, Konan. We will handle him now before those 2 can join, said Nagato as Naruto's muscles tensed along with Gamakichi. Bro, what are we going to do? Naruto jumped on top of Gamakichi's head again before clapping his hands and then holding his fingers in a cross sign. We are going to stall until Sensei and Yugi-chan get here by attacking widespread. And you know which jutsu I want to use first, said Naruto as Gamakichi smiled. Gamma Yu Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Toad Oil Shadow Clone Technique. All around, dozens of Narutos spawned to life. Nagato grew impressed with the boy as he noticed him now outside of the dogs and facing all of them with his clones surrounding them. And to make sure he can't use that jutsu, thought Naruto as a clone appeared beside Nagato in a shunshin. Nagato noticed the clone and the large Rasengan in its hand as he simply blasted it away with another Shinra Tensai. 10 seconds. He doesn't waste a moment. And with Diva Path out of commission for a moment, 8 seconds, thought Nagato, turning to see Gamakichi hold the tiger seal while Naruto placed a hand to his back. He used the smoke created by the clones to get away from us. Wonder what he'll do now. So many clones, thought Konan before noticing all of them just smirking. Why did they have that look? Nagato's eyes widened when he realized that the toad was building up fire chakra. The Naruto clones turned to oil that settled all across the lake in a wide area in front of Naruto and his toad. 4 seconds, I won't make it in time to block this. He's going to. Kaiten. Choshinsei, fire style. Supernova, said Naruto as Gamakichi blew out a powerful torrent of wind-enhanced flames. The fire reached the oil and immediately spread across the lake in a fiery explosion. Nagato's dog summons baked in the fire before dispelling in a poof of smoke. That worked better than I thought it would. Shima Basama never let us fully use it on Mount Myoboku. I have to say, that is everything I thought it would be, said Gamakichi before turning his head to the large bird in the sky. Seems he managed to summon them though. At least we got the dog. I'm sure that thing would have annoyed us. Naruto also looked up to see Nagato atop his bird with all of his paths and Konan with him. Of course he can summon too, why'd I think it'd be that easy, said Naruto as he then noticed the path he killed standing. The others who looked hurt were fully healed as well. Wait a minute, what's going on? Nagato didn't allow Naruto the chance to figure it out as his 6 paths came charging after the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and his large toad. Konoha, Hokage's tower, Shiso, are you okay? You've stared at that mission report for almost 30 minutes. Yes. I'm fine, just worried is all, said Tsunade as Sakura nodded her head in understanding. It'll be fine Tsunade-sama, said Sakura with a small smile. None of that worrying gets you anywhere according to Naruto. He'll be back. All three of them. Tsunade nodded at Sakura just as Shizune walked in the room. Yes, but you know what happens if they do all come back, right? Said Shizune, causing Sakura to smile and Tsunade's eyes to widen again in worry. Little black dress. Tsunade could see Jiraiya's lecherous eyes on her as she shivered slightly. Why did I have to make that bet? Thought Tsunade before turning back to the paperwork. The root Anbu are being integrated well, kinda. Speaking of root, I wonder what Sasuke is doing. Probably nothing important. Underground. Root-based 71 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds, said Itachi standing in his Tsukiyomi with Sasuke. Itachi watched on as he made Sasuke relive the night of the massacre. Only this time, through Itachi's viewpoint. It seems your eyes aren't strong enough to stop this genjutsu. Sasuke could only agree as his body moved to its own accord and continued to cut down Uchihas left and right. Itachi watched Sasuke slay all the Uchihas and could see a tear forming in his eye. Itachi's eyes widened, seeing it was a tear of blood. As if the entire world was made of glass, a large split broke it in half. Then another split followed by another and another. That continued to happen over and over until the world crumbled and they were brought back to reality. In reality, Itachi still had a hand to Sasuke's neck while his other gripped Sasuke's fist. The only difference, Sasuke's left eye spun fast before coming to a stop. Pain hit Sasuke hard as he felt Itachi push him away before backing up. Itachi clutched his eye as the pain hit him as well. You broke it, said Itachi, still standing with a hand over his eye as he looked at Sasuke still on one knee with a hand over his eye. You broke my Tsukiyomi. Sasuke shakily stood up as he looked at his elder brother. How's your eyesight, Itachi? Itachi just stared out at Sasuke as his vision only allowed a blurred, shadowed version of his little brother. You can barely see, right? Itachi never answered Sasuke as he moved his hand down and looked at Sasuke. I know yours aren't as bad as they should be, said Itachi as he added. You have Naruto-kun's cells in you. Sasuke nodded his head as he touched the patch on his shoulder. Yes, it definitely helps. But, it's not a permanent fix. Luckily, by the end of this battle, I'll have the permanent fix. You can't compete with me as you are now. Itachi gave Sasuke a daunting look as if saying, how do you figure? Sasuke just smiled. Because I have more chakra than you. And my eyes can use more jutsus than yours. And if that wasn't enough, I'm already fighting a dead man. If I just stall, your sickness will kill you anyway. Danzo, you knew more about me than you let on, thought Itachi, realizing how Sasuke received information on him. Sasuke then watched Itachi unzip his Akatsuki cloak before tossing it to the side. A reddish-orange chakra began to bask Itachi before he looked out at Sasuke. If you're so sure, then I may as well show you my trump card now. He's still fighting, thought Sasuke, seeing his brother's Susanoo. A purple cloak began to surround Sasuke as he activated his own Susanoo. This is just a formality at this point. Sasuke's Susanoo formed a bow and shield. Itachi's manifested a sword and shield. A special sword and shield that Sasuke recognized. That's the sword of Totsuka. In the Yata mirror. Orochimaru had been searching for them for so long and you had them both, said Sasuke, trembling as Itachi nodded. Sasuke fired an arrow at Itachi only for the Yata mirror to deflect it into the wall. No, I won't lose. I can't lose. This fight is over, said Itachi as his Susanoo began making its way toward Sasuke, blocking Sasuke's Susanoo strikes with ease. Your eyes are mine. My illness can be healed. Sasuke rapidly fired several more arrows, but just like before, Itachi's Susanoo blocked them all with the Yata mirror. It's impossible to get past that spirit item, it's the perfect defense. And that sword seals anything it pierces, thought Sasuke as he felt his body racked with pain from the fast use of those arrows. This is not looking good. I thought he would want to die. Itachi's Susanoo met Sasuke's in a clash as the two ethereal beings roared at one another. A power struggle ensued before Itachi's Susanoo simply stabbed through Sasuke's Susanoo's arm. No, 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 thought Sasuke as he felt his chakra leave him and get sucked into the jar that held the Totsuka sword. It just sealed the chakra used to form my Susanoo. Was Ka-chan wrong about Itachi? Tears of blood were flowing down both brothers' eyes as they stared at each other. Sasuke could feel the pain inside of him as he struggled to look up into his brother's eyes. How do you keep going? Said Sasuke before adding. I have Naruto's cells and I can barely move. I thought you wanted to die. Itachi just smiled at Sasuke before moving his hand to Sasuke's face. It seems you were wrong, little brother, said Itachi as the moments with his brother flashed through Sasuke's mind. Forgive me Sasuke, this is the last time. Omegakure, tallest tower, oh, it seems Nagato isn't used to his new legs, said Zetsu as he looked out at the fight between him and Naruto. His fighting is not as crisp as it used to be. Looking at the fight as well, the masked man sat right next to Zetsu. Maybe so. But that'll be good practice for him. And show him firsthand that he isn't ready to face the Kyuubi Jinchuriki as he is. True, the Jinchuriki hasn't even accessed his Biju's power yet, said Zetsu before adding. But Nagato does have his paths all together now and it should be interesting to see what happens. The other half of Zetsu decided to offer his own opinion. That is true. But as Toby said, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki has yet to show his full power. A power we really don't know the full extent of. I have a way we could find out though. Zetsu perked up hearing the masked man. Keep watching Zetsu, I shall spark the Kyuubi Jinchuriki here soon and we'll see his full power. Or Nagato will simply capture him if his mind can't handle what I have to show him. The masked man disappeared in a vortex as Zetsu kept his eyes peeled on the fight. This will be entertaining. The white half of Zetsu could only agree with its counterpart. With Jiraiya and Yugito. They were summoned, questioned Yugito as she followed behind Jiraiya in her Jinchuriki cloak. Jiraiya sat in his Toad Sage mode with the two elders on each shoulder as he turned his head to the Nibi Jinchuriki. It's just a guess. I'm sure that they all went to Naruto because we were kicking their asses, said Jiraiya as he turned his head back. But didn't it seem too easy? There's no time to worry about that Jiraiya-chan, said Fugaku, the elder Toad Sage. We need to find Naruto-chan if he is facing more. We were fighting when the flare went up in the air and Yugito spotted us when she was running toward him. The boy could be in serious trouble. Maybe captured. No, that wouldn't make sense, replied Yugito as Jiraiya elaborated. Exactly, Naruto has to go last, said Jiraiya as he added. He is the Kyuubi and from what Gaara said, Shukaku was sealed in a statue. Meaning, the Kyuubi's weight would most likely destroy it if it were sealed in before all the others. A theory Naruto came up with. That may be true. But then again, if he already has 6 of them, would it not be okay to seal the Kyuubi? Maybe the statue won't crack with those other 6 in there, said Shima this time getting Jiraiya to contemplate it. You could be right, it's just Naruto's theory and not a proven fact. But, we don't want to find out, said Jiraiya as he finally saw the lake. Jumping out on top of it, Jiraiya noticed a string of explosions occur. That must be where my apprentice is. Let's get there. Jiraiya then paused for a second as he looked behind him to not see Yugito. Where's Yugito? Questioned Jiraiya before seeing the Nibi Jinchuriki come jumping on the lake beside him outside of her cloak. Kids this way. Right. Felt like getting rid of that disguise, replied Yugito as she followed behind the Toad Sage. With Naruto came jumping out of the smoke caused by several explosions as he was missing the right sleeve of his shirt and his right pants leg was singed up to his shin. Blood covered several parts of his body and he had a bruise across his right cheek as he looked at the smoke cloud in front of him. Okay, this is way tougher now, thought Naruto as the smoke cleared and Nagato's 6 paths stared at him. The bald one was placing his forearm back into his elbow as if he was a robot. That guy is like a machine. The one with spiky hair can use that invisible force jutsu. The girl can summon anything it seems. The guy with long hair hasn't shown much but weak taijutsu skills. The fat guy with the ponytail can absorb chakra. The last guy, I have no clue. Above Naruto and the 6 paths, Nagato continued to fly above them on that bird with Konan standing next to him. And he can do what each of them can. The woman, I have no clue also. Naruto, it seems as if his movements are growing more and more polished as the fight goes on. I told you not to tread lightly. You're right, sorry about that, thought Naruto in reply as he let his Jinchuriki cloak form. The chakra formed around Naruto as his seal became visible along his body. Let's stop playing around, shall we? I wasn't playing around from the get-go. Your toad friend was and got beat up so bad he had to dispel back home, replied Kurama as he added. You need to find Jiraiya and Yugito or start using better jutsu if you plan on beating this guy. This guy could probably kill you if it weren't for your being a Jinchuriki and it risked killing me as well. Yeah. That's not really helping me here. I need encouragement. I encourage you to not get us killed. Naruto merely laughed at his biju. Naruto then noticed Nagato's paths rush out at him again. Ducking a kick from the long-haired one, Naruto vanished with pure speed to appear behind the old one with spiky hair who stayed back. Obviously he's the most important. He never engages in the fight, thought Naruto before getting blasted by another Shinra Tensei from Nagato's diva path. As Naruto rolled from the jutsu, he landed perfectly in a full Nelson from Nagato's Preta path. Thinking he was going to easily overpower the path was a grave mistake by the Jinchuriki. Wait, what? I can't move. I told you to stop playing around. Naruto's cloak began to disappear as Nagato's Preta path easily began to absorb his chakra. I didn't know he could absorb Biju chakra too, thought Naruto in a panic, feeling an immense drain on his chakra. That is enough, Kyuubi. This fight is over, said Nagato above them as he watched the Kyuubi Jinchuriki slowly begin to lose consciousness. Naruto! Naruto! Shouted Kurama in Naruto's mind, but to no avail as the kid couldn't move. Nagato gave a small grin to himself before his eyes widened when the absorption stopped. That's enough of that, said Jiraiya, now standing behind the Preta path. Jiraiya came up from behind the path underwater and unseen by all of them before placing a kunai in the back of the path's head. Thought I already killed that one. The path fell lifelessly to the floor as Naruto's eyes fluttered before he opened them fully. Perfect timing, sensei, said Naruto as he stood up and noticed Yugito land beside them. I thought I was done. Sure looked like it. Guess you realize you should have taken him more seriously, said Jiraiya as Naruto frowned hearing Kurama say, I told you so, repeatedly in his head. Jiraiya summoned a small toad that swallowed the path whole before dispelling. That'll keep him away for good. Jiraiya-sensei, said Nagato as his remaining 5 paths all grouped to look at them. Jiraiya and Naruto looked at the redhead on the bird as Jiraiya's earlier suspicions were confirmed. Nagato, seems you really are the leader of this group, said Jiraiya before adding. Why? Why did it come to this? I thought I taught you all better than this. Nagato closed his eyes before answering. Pain caused this, Jiraiya-sensei. And until you feel the same pain I did, you'll never understand. What pain could that possibly be? Questioned Jiraiya before hearing a voice come from behind him and Naruto. A voice that caused Naruto's blood to run cold. This pain. The pain of losing a loved one, said the masked man as he stood behind Yugito with a kunai to her back and his arm around her neck. Naruto turned around as his eyes widened seeing Yugito in that position. You won't kill her, you'd lose the biju, said Naruto as even with that in mind, Naruto still didn't feel any more comfortable. Naruto began to build up his chakra so he could shunshin to save Yugito. You're right, but the biju will reform. And I will get it then. However, watching her die in front of you will be so worth the wait. Time seemed to freeze as Yugito looked Naruto dead in the eye and mouthed I love you. Naruto watched the kunai slide perfectly into Yugito's back, killing her instantly. Naruto felt Yugito's chakra signature disappear as the masked man let her go, causing her to fall forward. Naruto appeared in a shunshin and caught the blonde-haired girl. Now you know pain, said Nagato as the masked man vanished in a vortex. Naruto fell to his knees and held the lifeless Yugito in his arms. Jiraiya simply stood still in shock as he watched Naruto's face go through several emotions. Naruto, said Jiraiya after a few seconds to see him sitting there with tears streaming down his face. Jiraiya then noticed Nagato's paths moving toward them as he turned to face them. This isn't good. Jiraiya-chan, we need to get out of here, said Fugaku getting a nod from the white-haired man. We can't fight them while also trying to protect Naruto-chan. It was already tough when we had Yugito helping us. You're right. But we have to do something and I'm certain we can't just leave. He'd catch us. It's over, Jiraiya-sensei. Just accept death. It will come easier that way, replied Nagato as Konan remained inwardly shocked about what just happened. He killed her. He killed the Jinchuriki. And Nagato let it happen, thought Konan looking at Naruto. She actually felt bad seeing his current state. All to get the Kyuubi Jinchuriki to feel pain. Was this the plan all along? Konan looked at Nagato who continued to move his paths toward the 3 foreign shinobi. Konan's attention then shifted back to Naruto as she felt a chakra spike. Nagato's six paths stopped their advance at the chakra spike as well. Nagato's eyes widened along with Jiraiya's as they felt Naruto let loose an abundance of chakra. Jiraiya slowly turned around as he looked at his apprentice. He was glowing orange with Kurama's chakra and could see the red markings of his Sage Mode on his face. Sage Mode combined with the Kyuubi's chakra. I didn't even know that was possible, thought Jiraiya as the lake was rippling at Naruto's potent chakra. Naruto, are you really about to use that? Asked Kurama, feeling Naruto use as much of his chakra as possible. Kurama didn't receive an answer as Naruto continued to stare at Yugito with tears in his face. This boy, he's reached Hashirama's level of power in this state. Sage Mode and my chakra, what a combination. This is the power of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, thought Nagato, seeing and feeling the power of Naruto's chakra. Nagato's eyes widened as he barely heard Naruto call out a jutsu name. Senpo. Mokuton, Senbeat, Sage Art. Wood Style. Thousand Tales, whispered Naruto as the ground quaked and a roar was heard from underneath the lake. Thanks for reading AN. Another installment of the Lost Files is below. If you continue, hope you enjoy its smiley face. Omake. Naruyugi, The Lost Files, Mount Myobuku, waking up with a yawn. Naruto opened his eyes as he looked down to see Yugito with one leg over his legs and her head on his chest. Naruto smiled as he kissed the top of the Nibi Jinchuriki's head and slowly made his way out of the bed. Ninja skills on point, thought Naruto as he managed to get out without getting grabbed and put back in place by a still sleeping Yugito like usual. Ha! You got lucky, said Kurama in Naruto's mind as the Jinchuriki scratched his groin and headed to the bathroom. Relieving himself, Naruto brushed his teeth as he walked back into his room. Bet you can't do it again. Bet I could, but I'm already up and awake, thought Naruto in return before getting dressed. Naruto then formed a familiar hand seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique. In several quiet puffs of smoke, 5 Narutos now stood in front of their original. Nodding their heads at their boss, the 5 clones ran through the hand seals for the summoning technique. Do work today, guys. Or close to getting down dad's jutsu, said Naruto as the clones smiled before disappearing. Where'd they go? Questioned a sleepy-eyed Yugito. Good morning, said Naruto as he kissed Yugito a few times. Good morning, said Yugito in return as Naruto blanched slightly. What is it? Morning breath, replied Naruto as Yugito blushed slightly. Naruto then kissed the girl a few more times. Yeah, definitely morning breath. Stop kissing me so I can brush my teeth. I don't know, I weirdly like it. Naruto kissed Yugito deeply once more before allowing her to get up. He then remembered her question. My clones went to Mount Myobuku. How did they do that? Questioned Yugito as she got out of the bed and headed to the bathroom. They reverse summoned themselves, said Naruto as he heard Yugito brushing her teeth. I didn't know you could do that, said Yugito muffled due to the toothbrush still in her mouth. Yugito then spit and rinsed her mouth out as she headed back into Naruto's bedroom. So, you're saying I could do that and would be sent to whatever animal favored me? It's not that simple, Yugi-chan. Jiraiya-sensei got lucky when he did it. Another kid in Konoha tried the same and nobody has heard of him since. Apparently, his animal ate him. Guess I won't be trying that anytime soon, said Yugito before bringing Naruto in for another kiss, a longer one this time. How's that? Minty fresh. I like the morning breath better though, said Naruto before smacking Yugito on the butt and telling her to get dressed so they could go eat breakfast. 40 minutes later, come back soon you two, shouted the waitress as she waved goodbye to Naruto and Yugito. Naruto and Yugito waved back as they walked out into the street after leaving the pancake house. That place really does have the best pancakes ever, said Yugito as she smiled happily. Heard that, said Naruto as he then looked over at Yugito. Well, Yugi-chan, I have the day off. What would you like to do for the rest of it? Hummed Yugito as she thought about the question. Naruto and Yugito continued to walk through the Konoha streets as Naruto was greeted by several civilians who recognized him. I got it. And what would that be? Well, I thought about the clones earlier going to Mount Myobuku. And how Gamakichi always tells me to come, said Yugito as Naruto realized where she was going with this. Why not show me Mount Myobuku? If it's allowed and all. That sounds awesome. I, personally, haven't been back in a while, said Naruto before adding. Plus, Ma and Pa would love to see you. Why not? Yay, shouted Yugito with joy before jumping to Naruto and planting a kiss on his lips. Pulling back, Yugito and Naruto heard several whistles. Woo, said several women watching the kiss as one of them spoke. Put a ring on it already, Naruto-sama. Yugito just nodded at the women as Naruto laughed sheepishly before vanishing in a shunshin with the Nibi Jinchuriki. Appearing on top of the Hokage stone faces, Naruto ran through several hand seals after biting his thumb. Kuchios. Gamakichi appeared from the poof of smoke. Yo. What's up, Naruto? Said Gamakichi, fist bumping with Naruto, seeing how there was no imminent danger. Gamakichi then looked over as he smiled. And hello to you, Yugito-chan. Looking good as always. Yugito smiled with a blush. Thank you, thank you. You're way too good for this guy. Why are you with him? Oi, shouted Naruto as Yugito just patted his shoulder, calming him down. He got lucky, said Yugito as Naruto just smiled. Thank you, Yugi-chan, said Naruto before realizing what she said. Oi. Naruto-kun summoned you here because we were wondering if it was okay if we came to Mount Myobuku today. Questioned Yugito as she added. I mean, Naruto would just appear normally, but I'm not sure if it'd be okay if I just showed up. Gamakichi just nodded his head though. Of course you can come. You just can't be summoned like Naruto could. So, you have to walk there. Well, how long is the walk? Questioned Yugito with a smile as Naruto looked at her. About a month, said Naruto as Yugito's mouth hung agape. Don't worry, I know a shortcut. Oh, thank goodness, said Yugito as Naruto turned to Gamakichi. See you in a bit, said Naruto as Gamakichi mock saluted and disappeared in a poof of smoke. Naruto then turned to Yugito as he smiled. You have to wear this though. What? Questioned Yugito as Naruto pulled out a blindfold. Really? It's a secret entrance, my dear, said Naruto as he placed the blindfold around Yugito's eyes. A few seconds went by as Yugito just stood still with her eyes covered. Naruto-kun? Questioned Yugito as Naruto didn't make a peep. Are we going there or not, MMPH? Naruto planted a kiss on Yugito before ending it. Once it was over, Naruto pulled the blindfold off Yugito's eyes as she smiled and looked around. So this is Mount Myobuku, said Yugito before turning around. You kissed me so I wouldn't mark the territory once we vanished in that shunshin. Sneaky you are. Naruto just smiled before leading Yugito through the pretty scenery of the sacred Toad Lands. After about an hour of just exploring, Naruto took Yugito up the mountain range to a large, open building. Directly in the middle of that building sat a stone chair. And in that chair sat an ancient-looking toad with a size comparable to Gamakichi. And this is the Elder Toad. The highest authority here, said Naruto as Yugito nodded her head. Naruto then turned to the toad as he cleared his throat. Wake up, you old toad. Tell me my prophecy. Naruto-kun, exclaimed Yugito at Naruto's brashness toward the toad, especially after just figuring out he was the top toad. Yugito then shrugged as she realized Naruto didn't really care much for those above him in his home village either. Naruto noticed the Elder Toad didn't move and figured he'd leave him alone. Naruto then pointed at the Elder Toad before speaking. I'll be back. And you'll tell me my prophecy, said Naruto as he slowly put his finger down and led Yugito further into the mountain. Naruto smiled when he reached a small hut and recognized the chakra signature inside. Shima Bakken. Yugito and Naruto heard the sound of a toad jumping toward the door as it opened a few seconds later. Opening the door, the small elder grinned heavily at the young man in front of her. Naruto-chan. You're back, said Shima before noticing the girl holding Naruto's hand. And you finally brought her. Shima Bakken, this is ni Yugito, said Naruto before turning to Yugito. Yugi-chan, this is Shima-sama, one of the elder toads. Hi, said Yugito with a smile as Shima beckoned them in. Naruto-chan, I never knew she was so pretty, said Shima as Yugito smiled and thanked her. How did you do it? Oi. Why is everyone downing me about my relationship? Asked Naruto before he pushed his chest out and put on a shimmering white smile. I am the man. You know it. Yugi-chan knows it. Bingo books know it. Don't try to play me. Naruto then looked down to see Yugito and Shima totally ignoring him and carrying on their own conversation. Naruto's chest deflated seemingly as he just listened to the two women speak. "Oh, so you're from Kumogakure," said Shima as she smiled. "You must be strong to be able to keep Naruto-kun in line." "I believe I have a few skills. Would you mind sparring with me then?" "A spar?" questioned Yugito as she looked over to see Naruto shaking his head no. Yugito frowned slightly at Naruto before turning back to Shima with a smile. "Sure, sounds like a good time." "Great," said Shima as she led the Nibi Jinchuriki outside. 30 minutes later, "I tried to warn you," said Naruto as he held an ice pack to Yugito's head. "Shima Bakken may be old but she is strong." Whack. Ow. Groaned Naruto after receiving a rolling pin to the head for the old comment. Naruto then turned back to Yugito. "But at least she likes you." Yugito just nodded her head slightly. "Yeah, she kicked my ass and then threatened me. Shima Bakken is motherly like that. And very protective of me," said Naruto as Yugito looked at him knowingly. "Well come, Yugi-chan. I have more to show you." Yugito groaned slightly before noticing Naruto's gesture for her to get on his back. Smiling at the Kyubi Jinchuriki, Yugito easily climbed aboard as she allowed Naruto to carry her around. Hours passed by effortlessly as Naruto continued showing Yugito the beautiful land. They played with the tadpoles and younger toads, executed pranks with Gamakichi on several of the other large toads, and even took a swim through the beautiful lake. "Today has been perfect," said Yugito as Naruto nodded his head with a smile. Gamakichi also nodded his head. "Yes, today has been perfect. Yugito has a killer figure, bro. You really got lucky." "I know right," said Naruto as he closed his eyes. "Oi. Just look at that sunset," said Yugito as Naruto and Gamakichi watched the sun paint the sky. "The colors are just so pretty." "Yeah it is," said Naruto before he and Gamakichi fist pumped. Yugito noticed the movement as she wondered what for. Noticing her questioning gaze, Gamakichi decided to answer. "The freaks come out at night," said Gamakichi with a grin as Yugito's eyebrows arched. "It's party time." "A party?" questioned Yugito. "A toad party. A sage toad party, Yugi-chan. And ain't no party like a sage toad party." Gamakichi continued without missing a beat. "'Cause a sage toad party don't stop." 3 hours later, Naruto sat at a table as he stared at the toad on the other side of it. The boss toad, Gamabunta. Leaning over Naruto's shoulder, Yugito placed her head directly next to his as she also looked at Gamabunta. "Naruto-kun," said a pantsless Yugito before she let out a drunk hiccup. The hiccup almost knocked off the crown on her head. "You can do this. Don't let him beat you." A shirtless Naruto nodded his head, almost losing the pair of boxers on his head. "I got this. Gamabunta can't hang this time," said Naruto before picking up the sake cup. Several toads surrounding them all watched as Naruto downed the liquid before slamming the cup back on the table. "Ooh," shouted the toads as Naruto drunkenly grinned at Gamabunta. "That's 42 suka," said Naruto as the toads around started jumping and clapping at the battle being waged between Gamabunta and Naruto. "And I can go all night long." Right after saying that, Naruto fell backward and drifted off into a deep sleep. "Gotcha kid. It's too easy," said Gamabunta before he fell backward as well, causing the ground to shake with his big body tumbling through the foliage. Gamakichi stood in the middle of the two wearing what appeared to be a referee shirt as he looked at them both. Due to Naruto reaching comatose first, Gamabunta is the winner and still drinking champion, said Gamakichi as several of the toads all cheered. Yugito just frowned slightly before picking the drunk Naruto up. "So close, Naruto-kun," said Yugito again before letting out a hiccup. Naruto awoke with a jump at the hiccup as he grabbed Yugito in a hug with one arm and held the other one above him. "Oh shit," said Gamakichi as he realized what Naruto was about to do. "Everybody run." The surrounding toads all noticed Naruto now as their eyes widened in fear. Sage markings appeared on Naruto's face as he looked at those surrounding him. "Get off my lawn," shouted Naruto as a large Rasengan formed in his hand. The Rasengan began to make swooshing sounds as Naruto added water chakra to it. The toads began to hightail it out of there as the Rasengan fully formed and Naruto took aim. "Rasenhariken, spiraling hurricane," said Naruto as he let the large water Rasengan go. As the Rasengan flew through the air, it carved a deep trench in the lands as it made its way through Mount Myobuku. The jutsu erupted nearly a mile away as it formed a huge tornado made of water that spun for several seconds and then died down. Woo! Shouted Yugito, clapping as Naruto just smiled. You totally got that guy. You know it, baby, said Naruto before turning Yugito toward him. Have fun. Yugito nodded her head happily as Naruto smiled back. Naruto then leaned in to kiss Yugito, only for both Jinchuriki to pass out mid-kiss and fall to the ground in a heap. Hearing the two thuds, Gamakichi peeked his head around as he looked at Naruto and Yugito. Gamakichi let out a sigh before walking back out to the clearing. Naruto always does this when he gets drunk, said Gamakichi as he signaled it was okay for everyone to come back. Gets drunk and then fires off a superpowered jutsu before passing out. The water Rasengan was cool though. But Shima Ba and Fukusakuji are going to freak out when they see the destruction again. What just happened? Came the voice of Gamakichi's father, Gamabunta, as he finally woke up from his and Naruto's drinking competition. I won, right? Always pops, said Gamakichi before pulling out 2 markers. Gamakichi gestured to the 2 sleeping Jinchuriki. Shall we? Naruto would eventually wake up hours later with markings on his face and back in his own bed in Konoha. Naruto looked over at Yugito to see her face all marked up with various demeaning signs also as he smiled. Gotta love toad parties, thought Naruto as he just fell back asleep with a contented smile. End. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like for more what ifs and support the author. See you guys in the next video.